So we're going to be working with I, which is an imaginary number. It'll be treated a lot like a variable. And I is equal to the square root of -1, and it's in the set of complex numbers. It's done so we can take the square root of a negative, which you'll learn about not in this video, but later on. So treating it like a variable, if I'm doing -2 times 5i, I'm going to get a -10i. I don't have to have like terms to multiply, so that was pretty simple. This one's starting to get a little bit more complicated. Our exponent, of course, tells me how many I have. I have 2. I have a -4i and another -4i. So a -4 times a -4 is a positive 16. And I, well, I have 2 of them, so that would be an I squared. Now, never leave I squared in your answer. That's not simplified, because I squared, by definition, and we'll write that in our notes, I squared is equal to -1. So I squared gets replaced with a -1, and then the final answer is a -16. All right, so now 2 times 6, and I'm going to get a 12. I times I is an I squared, and just like we said before, I squared equals -1, so that'll be 12 times -1, or -12. And then, well, I've got a binomial times a binomial, and you guys know what that means. It means we're going to have to FOIL, or if you like the box method, you can do the box method. So 5 times 4 is the first terms, and that's a 20. And then my outside terms, 5 times -I, -5i. So I've done first, I've done outside. Now my inside, I times 4. And then my last is an I times a -I, so a -I squared. Now we've got a little bit of cleanup to do. Well, that's just a 20, and then these two are like terms, like imaginary terms. So -5 plus 4, I get a -I, and then I squared, just like we had said before, is equal to -1. So he's going to get replaced. Now I've got a minus a negative, so that's really plus a positive. So that's 20 plus 1, so I have 21 minus I. And I want to make sure I write them in this order, because in the set of complex numbers, we have a form that's called A plus BI, where I write the real number first and I write the imaginary term second.